Hebrews. This is our Prophets of Awakening. This is our Women's Advanced Bible class tonight. It's the 2nd of December, 2021. What I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna go and revisit the Book of Judith. It's a section in there I wanted to shine light on. So I'm asking everybody to like, share, subscribe, the Prophet of Awakening channel, and hit the notification button. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh is the Old Testament, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai by the Lord and hosts of Israel. So with that, shalom, and welcome everybody to the Prophets of Awakening. We're going to do our moment of silence, prayer, and someone's going to read the Psalms, and then we'll do current events. And we'll deal with our women's health segment. Okay. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face, and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee, as thy servants David and Solomon, Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth, and in righteousness, and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad, for you possess the power to turn us, for we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments, and your testimony, and your statutes with all our heart and soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, and hide not thy face from us, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. Somebody's going to read the Psalms.
Shalom. I'm going to read Psalm 21, Rejoicing in God's Strength.
Okay.
The king shall joy in thy strength, O Lord, and in thy salvation, how greatly shall he rejoice. Thou hast given him his heart's desire, and hast not withholden the request of his lips. Selah. For thou preventest him with the blessing of goodness. Thou sittest a crown of pure gold on his head. He asked life of thee, and thou gavest it him, even length of days forever and ever. His glory is great in thy salvation. Honor and majesty hast thou laid upon him. For thou hast made him most blessed forever. Thou hast made him exceeding glad with thy countenance. For the king trusted in the Lord, and through the mercy of the Most High he shall not be moved. Thy hand shall find out all thine enemies. Thy right hand shall find out those that hate thee. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. Their fruit shalt thou destroy from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men. For they intend evil against thee. They imagine a mischievous device which they are not able to perform. Therefore shalt thou make them turn their back when thou shalt make ready thine arrows upon thy strings against the face of them. Be thou exalted, Lord, in thy own strength. So we will sing and praise thy power. That's Psalm 21.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom.
Okay.
Verse 9. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. That's what we have to look forward now.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, I got a question because I was telling you about how you know these songs are David, and then some of David's men or servants were Levites that was musicians. They talking, but it's all referring to David. But when they concoct the New Testament, they made you think these songs in reference to JC. But it's telling you right here when you write divided that it's David. David's talking. So my question is in verse 1, the king shall joy in thy strength. So who's the king? This king?
David.
Right. So look what's going on. It says, when you read the title, the chief musician, a song of David. So David talking, and David saying, the king himself, I'm going to rejoice in the strength of the Lord. That's the proper rendition of that. It ain't pointing toward no Jesus. It's saying David saying, the king. I'm the king. He the king. I'm rejoice in the Lord. The Lord had made him king. He said, I'm going to rejoice. I'm going to rejoice in the Lord. So that's the way to read that. So anyway, verse 3 says, but thou prevented him with blessings of goodness, and thou settest the crown of pure gold upon his head. So when I read that, the first thing I think about was, I don't know if anybody remember it, but in Jasher, when Joseph and them brothers had came to Egypt looking for him, they knew they hadn't killed him. They sent him off, and so they went to Egypt. They were looking for him, and then they went through all this drama with David, with Joseph. Joseph was putting him through all this drama. Then finally he got uh, his brother Benjamin. They went and got him and brought him back. And Abraham had showed them how to read the stars and how to read the maps. So he told Benjamin, look on the map. They running around all over the place, their head cut off, looking for me. He told Benjamin, look at the map and see where your brother is. And then he read the map and he saw that. And when he realized it, he looked up and he said he realized there was Joseph that was standing there when he read the map. But it said that when he looked at him and his countenance changed and he saw this big old golden crown, pure gold on Joseph's head. Right? So, you want to read that, you can check it out. But anyway, the other one was Mansa Musa. We know that West Africa is where the Israelites went. And they said all of a sudden out of nowhere, this dude come riding with a caravan with this gold on his head. Golden crown. Pure gold on his head. And it's different. It's a gold that the Israelites had was a different type of gold. It was that gold of Ophir. More precious than any other gold. And he had one of that. He had a crown, just like Joseph did, a pure gold on his head, just like David had. But like I said, that goes over a lot of people's head. And the last one is Psalm 9. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. David talking. So what I'm showing you is David already knew this stuff. I told you David was having dreams and visions all over the place. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger, and the Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. So my question is this, and just, what fire? So when we go to Zechariah chapter 12, you see the fire that David's talking about. It says, and in that day, chapter 12, verse 3, in that day I will make Jerusalem a burning stone for all people, and all that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though the people of the earth be gathered against it. In that day, said the Lord, I will make every horse with astonishment, and his riders with madness, and I will open mine eyes upon the house of Judah, and I will smite every horse of the people with blindness, and the kings of Judah, that's David's house, shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength, and the Lord of hosts, their God. And in that day will I make the governors of Judah, the kings of Judah, like a heat of fire. That's the fire right here, among the wood. and like a torch of fire in a sheath, and they shall devour all the people round about on the right hand and on the left, and Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. So that's the fire. So that tells you right there when you connect these dots with these with Zechariah and with Psalms, David had to have been uh, enlightened by the he had to have visions in order to say that. Because we see the final results in Zechariah. He tell you what he's gonna do. Verse 8, 12 and 8 of Zechariah. In that day, says the Lord, in that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, and the angel of the Lord before him. So the angel of the Lord is a consuming fire, just like he lit on the bush. Okay. So anybody got any comments on that or on any other verses in Psalms 21? Okay. You gonna do your thing, Cynthia?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Shalom. Genesis 1:29. And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in thee which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Have you ever tasted something so good that you had to know what it was, or you wanted the recipe so you could make it yourself? Well, this herb really doesn't have much of a taste to it. To me, it just tastes clean. But oh my, is it good for us? What is this? It has powerful anti inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Just 1 to 1.5 grams of this can help prevent various types of nausea, including chemotherapy related nausea, nausea after surgery, and morning sickness. According to studies in animals and humans, this may help improve weight related measurements. These include body weight and waist hip ratio. What is this? It appears to speed up emptying of the stomach, which can be beneficial for people with indigestion and related stomach discomfort. It also appears to be very effective against menstrual pain when taken at the beginning of the menstrual period. There's some evidence in both humans and animals that it can lead to significant reductions in low density lipoprotein, known as bad cholesterol, as well as your total cholesterol and blood triglyceride levels. The substance in this herb appears to have protective effects against cancer. What is this? Animal studies suggest that it can protect against age related damage to the brain and help improve brain function in middle aged women. It helps fight harmful bacteria and viruses, which could reduce your risk of infections. It is loaded with nutrients and bioactive compounds that have powerful benefits for your body and your brain. This herb is ginger. It's one of the very few superfoods actually worthy of that term. I was in the grocery store one day with my mom a few years ago, and I saw a doctor that I had seen the previous week because my doctor was out of town. Well, I told my mom, let's see what he's going to pick up. Well, he filled a produce bag full with this herb, checked out, and left the store. Ginger was all he purchased. Now, this is after he prescribed me more medication. Psalm 37. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. for they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Ecclesiastes 12:10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. The Lord of hosts is waking us up in so many ways.
Okay. Appreciate that. Anybody got any comments?
Yes, great information.
Okay. Yeah, that was good. So you gonna do what you gonna do your what you gonna do, Michelle?
Yes. Um,
Yeah.
say that again.
What you got?
I have words of encouragement.
Okay.
This one will be trust the process. So often we ask the Lord to remove us from difficult situations, not realizing that the Lord may be using this time to mold us, shape us, and prepare us for his purpose. When we humble ourselves and say, Lord, not my will, but yours, our eyes and heart begin to align with his. When we take time to hear the Lord's voice, it's here that we will find clarity in the chaos. It's here that He will direct our steps and prepare us for His purpose. Wait on the Lord and trust the process. Psalms 27:14. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and He shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely something that has to be looked at and practice is having patience with the Lord and being able to tarry and and understanding that in due time He's gonna show up and do what it is, whatever it is you inquire to Him or whatever it is that He told you, it's gonna it's gonna come to pass. It's just a matter
Yeah.
of waiting it out because you can rush something and be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right, exactly.
Okay. All right. So with that, anybody have any current events?
Well, I see Omicron is on the move. They have some cases in New York and Colorado, so it's on the move.
Okay. Yeah, I got a couple right here. It's one of them pertaining to that right there. Let me see if I can bring it up. Can you see that?
Yes.
So it says two more U.S. Omicron cases emerged in New York. It says a Minnesota man who recently visited New York City for a crowded annual convention has tested positive for Omicron variant. Um, Mayor Bill Blasio said that we should assume the variant is spreading in the city. So, like I said, the governor already then called a state of emergency ahead of time, and now we see this, and the mayor's he assuming that everybody know that this thing is already spreading all over the city. Okay, so got something else right here. Yeah, and this right here is happening right now as we speak. I don't know if nobody else aware of it or not, but I'm gonna play some of it.
Something really strange has been happening in U.S. financial markets over the past few weeks. CEOs and corporate insiders have been dumping stocks at a far faster rate than we have ever seen before. Do they know something the rest of us don't? If the stock market is booming, as the media keeps insisting, and this rally will go on forever.
Like I say, you're dealing with wicked ass bankers, so they gonna we sitting around fumbling with getting the money out of the bank when they already know what's gonna happen. And people gonna be left. This didn't happen over and over again. This happened within the time of Napoleon. It happened when Hitler. They've been doing this over and over again. And nothing new under the sun.
Like many investors want to believe, then why are these insiders selling their stocks as fast as they can before the year is over? Why some are still choosing to believe that stock prices will continue to soar into the stratosphere? Those who are in the top tiers of the market are heading for the exits. Of course, if they can see that a brutal stock market crash is fast approaching, the perfect time to get out is now. After all, you can only make money in the stock market if you get out before the bubble bursts, and it seems like many of the richest people in the world have come to the realization that risks have become too big, especially with the emergence of a new virus variant that already has triggered a crash in some stocks. Perhaps this is the best time to initiate sell-off mode before the whole market irreversibly collapses. According to CNBC, some big names in the industry have been selling billions of dollars worth of stock over the past few weeks. At least $69 billion in stock have been recently dumped by CEOs and corporate insiders as lofty share prices seem to have reached their peak. This is the perfect window to kill.
So not only are they quitting, they post, they bailing out of the stock market. I'll tell you so.
Collect profits before losing them. From Satya Nadella at Microsoft to Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, CEOs, founders, and insiders have been cashing in their stock at the highest pace on record. As of Monday, sales by insiders are up 30% from 2020 to $69 billion and up 79% versus a 10-year average. And that's according to Insider Score Verity, CNBC reported. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, the richest men on the entire planet, each sold $10 billion in stock already. According to Ben Silverman, director of research at Insider Score Verity, the top four super sellers are Musk, Bezos, the Waldens, and Mark Zuckerberg, who account for 37% of total stock sales so far. He said the increase in the dollar value of insider sales in 2021 can be attributed to multiple factors, with historically high stock valuations being the primary driver. He continued to say the presence of super sellers during the period has helped pump up sales total. These insiders know that stock valuations can't stay this high if production is slowing down, and soon the rest of the...
Okay, in the comments? Let a little more play.
Just started to act before everyone else realized the actual risks they're in for. And the year isn't over yet. With each passing day, more and more big names are going to sell billions more in stock. Interestingly, this sell-off has begun just as the U.S. economy has started to fall apart again. We are currently facing the worst supply chain crisis in history. Our store shelves are getting emptier while inflation is pushing the price of everything to sky highs. In fact, we haven't seen these levels of inflation since the 1970s. And the worsening chaos in our streets is compromising economic activity in many of our largest urban areas. Unfortunately, we cannot say we did not see this coming, particularly because since the beginning of the health crisis, our federal government and the Federal Reserve have printed, they've borrowed, and then they've spent trillions of dollars that we could not afford to spend.
Okay, so they're taking all this money out of here, billions of dollars out of the stock market. So guess what do you think they're going to do with it? Cryptocurrency. Like I said, that's what they're going to give. They're going to take it. They're going to take it. get cryptocurrency with it, and then they going to Africa with it. They told you all that over and over again if you listen. Any comments?
Shalom.
Okay.
That in itself, that they're bailing out, I mean, it further shows the state of the economy.
Exactly. Right. And they know. They know. They getting inside information. They already know where they headed. This thing's gonna go. Okay, so here go another sign right here. We're gonna play this. Like I said, the writing is on the wall. I played some of this, so I think for the men's class, but I cut it off. I'm gonna play this part right here. Okay, here we go. This 2 days from now.
Solar eclipse that's coming. So, ladies and gentlemen, one thing that's really significant about this is the only solar eclipse. This is the only full one for the year. Okay. And this is only days away. Yes, it is. So, those of you that have a fascination with the skies, this is our final event for 2021 as far as eclipses go. So we experience a lot of things in the sky that you don't even realize. There's meteor showers. We know of the blood moons, the full solar eclipse. And there's always something going on in the heavens. And these things have been going on forever, since there's been a heaven. These things have been going on. So what exactly is it about this solar eclipse? This is going to be ultra rare. It's only going to be seen in Antarctica. This is where the sun will cast a shadow over the earth, which is something that we don't see that often, but it is a total solar eclipse on December 4th, Saturday, this coming Saturday, and it is expected to last about a minute and 54 seconds. 1 minute and 54 seconds. That's how long it will last. So this is going to be a pretty quick one in comparison to the last blood moon, which was nearly 3.5 hours. So it won't be anything like that. So if we're not in Antarctica, so the best next thing is to watch it on live stream. There's always people live streaming this. Who will see it? They said tips of South America, Africa, Australia, New Zealand will get a peek of it. But to get the full show, you would have to be in Antarctica. So we're going to look, and they're harping on that 2024. I think they are scared of this 2024 eclipse, which is going to put an X across America, a big old X. All right, but we're going to look at 2022. Here is the eclipse calendar, and this is from timeanddate.com. So there's going to be 2 solar eclipses and 2 lunar eclipses in 2022. So after December 4th, we won't see anything until April 30th. And that's going to be a partial solar eclipse. So if you are in Southwest, South America, Pacific, Atlantic, Antarctica, you will see it. And then the next total lunar eclipse we will be able to see. So that is May 15th to the 16th. So if you are in Southwest Europe, Southwest Asia, Africa, much of North America, South America, Pacific, Atlantic, Indian Ocean, and Antarctica. So that is almost a big chunk of the Earth. We'll see that lunar eclipse. So that's a blood moon right there. And then another partial solar eclipse on October 25th, Europe, Southwest Asia, Northeast Africa, and Atlantic. We'll see that one. And the final one, November 7th through the 8th, lunar eclipse. This will be a total lunar eclipse, another blood moon. And this will northern Europe, northern East Europe, Asia, Australia, North America, much of South America, Pacific, Atlantic, Indian Ocean, Arctic, and Antarctica. So mark your calendars. It's going to be a bumpy ride for America from this point on. It is going to be treacherous for them, ladies and gentlemen. They don't believe it, but I tell you what, they're going to believe it before it's said and done, won't they?
Okay. Comment. Have anybody seen that? Anybody seen that video?
No, I didn't see that.
It's December 4th solar eclipse is the name of. Yeah, you want to check it out. Yeah, she going in on this, a lot of stuff before that. I played it on the men's line, so I had cut it off. So I was playing the rest of it because I went back and looked at it and there was some revealing information on there. And I was telling you about Dr. Arcana, about how she had 160 so-called heavy hitters. They all started yesterday over in Africa. And I just want you to check some of it out. But what I wanted you to do is look at the surroundings. And you tell me if the forces of the Gentiles ain't being converted. Here we go.
Hello and welcome to our Team TV special with former African Union Ambassador to the Diaspora and founder of the African Diaspora Development Institute, the ADDI, Dr. Arikana Chiombori Kwao. Since leaving the African Union,
Cryptocurrency.
She has been sounding the alarm about the plight of the continent and holding accountable institutions and parties responsible for the suffering of its people. Today, we are excited to have her on our show to share her mission and how you can join her in making Africa a thriving place for all. I'm Pamela Anchang. Before we bring her to the show, if you haven't subscribed, now would be a good time to do so by clicking on the subscribe button here below and also ringing the notification bell so that you will be notified when this content is released. Also like us so that YouTube will share our videos. And of course, don't forget, do me the honors. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Pamanchang. And love us. Also, show me some love on Facebook at The Immigrant Magazine.
In a medical crisis, minutes can make the difference between life.
Your Excellency, it's my honor to have you with me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. You're very welcome. The entire world, especially Africans, people of African descent, have been listening to you for a while now. But I want us to go to some, some essential things before we get into some really pressing matters. Most people are wondering, you're Dr. Arikana Chiombori. Wow, you're a medical doctor. And you're also an activist. How are you able to do all these things and how did this come about?
I think in my case, I was just born into an environment where there was a lot of injustice growing up in apartheid Zimbabwe. I was raised by a father who was old enough to remember when our village was taken over by the British. He remembers waking up in the morning. It was pandemonium. They were men. They called them men without knees. You know, when white men were wearing pants, they looked like they didn't have knees. So he called them men without knees on horses who were torching their village, touching all the hearts, and everybody was running around, scattering all over, picking whatever they could carry. And he remembers hiding under a pillar of firewood. And when it was all said and done, the entire village was like a war zone. There was only one heart left standing. His aunt was pregnant, due any day. And so they had asked for permission to stay. The rest of the villagers were told, in this direction, go past this mountain. In this direction, go past that river, because your land is now mine. So they'd asked if she could stay and until she delivers, because they didn't even know where they were going. And mind you, the way they mapped out the land, if you were an adventurous British man or a veteran of the World War, you were guaranteed 2,000 hectares of land in Zimbabwe. They are a lost cause.
Forget it.
They cannot do anything without the approval of France. I was at a luncheon. It was actually a conference to talk about the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And during lunch, I sat at a table with about 10 of us. Several of them were ministers. And one minister said something that was, and he said it so casually. He had his napkin on his neck, and he's just eating his lunch away, and he says, this AFCFTA, did we check with the French? He says, if we don't check with the French, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So I stopped and I looked at everybody else to see their response. They were in total agreement.
There you go. That is the problem, Your Excellency.
That is the biggest problem. We have other problems, but that is
that mindset.
This is the elephant in the room. So everything else, they're monkeys in school.
Okay, so like I said, this is going on right now as we speak. I think it's till from the 2nd to the 13th. All this stuff going on right here in Ghana. So you want to watch it? It's Dr. Arikana Chimbo Kwa. I chose to be a voice, and then it's her life story, African diaspora. Okay. Any comments? They went grand on that, didn't they?
Yes, we can expect to see a lot more good stuff.
Okay, yeah. It's the time. Time. So with that being said, I'm opening up for some questions and comments, and then I got a little video I want to play, and then we're going to go into the lesson. Anybody got any questions or comments about anything that they've been dealing with? Being that you have a little more time to research. Everybody good? Okay, yeah. We'll play this here. This should speak volume for everybody right here. Let me get it.
So whatever it is that you need to build up physically when you're an athlete, you got to make sure that that's intact so you're capable of going what? All 10, 12 rounds. Just in case you don't get that knockout in the first couple rounds, we got to be spiritually and fit. Yes, spiritually fit to go all rounds. That's what I would say, my spiritual life, keeping that intact.
I'll talk a little bit of hip hop with you. I seen you made videos before about Lizzo. I want to kind of talk to you about, the Cardi B's, the Meg Thee Stallions, the Lizzos, and the over sexualization of hip hop. We seen the other day that Lizzo, she jumped on the on Instagram, I think it was, and started just flashing everybody, pretty much saying F all the haters. So talk about that and talk about, these women in hip hop who's going crazy right now for showing their body parts, soft porn as I call it.
Facts. And some of it, I think, is almost as soft porn now, almost really, because I would call it that at first too, but now it seems to be even more explicit. The first thing that we have to keep in mind is who sent them. Who sent them? When I think about, because even before I talked about Lizzo, I did a show on Suki with the Good Coochie. I thought, Lord, what's the name? What? I did a thing on WAP. Now I'm gonna be 100. I'm gonna be 100 because when I started doing this, I lived in such a way to where I wouldn't even get on topics like that. Like what I look like talking about that mess. That ain't even. I don't do rolling. Not just with them, but just other kind of topics. Like I'm not gonna do that. But then I realized, Vicky, if you went into prisons. If you went into the streets, right? If you gave to the least of these, why wouldn't you treat social media as, you feel what I'm saying, go into the dirty parts if this is where the attention of our people is at? And if I'm trying to reach our people, I first of all had to change my mind about addressing certain topics and start to educate myself on stuff, right? And I realized that instead of having been on the same vibration, dealing with that low-level toxic stuff, what I do is discuss something, and my goal is to elevate the conversation. You understand? So I'm going to talk about stuff because that's where the attention of our people is, right? So that's number one. Number two, we can have discussions and then begin to elevate. The first thing I think about without the over-sexualization and hip-hop of our sisters is, number one, who is benefiting from this? It is our open enemy, the same ones that I believe pimped our brother Michael Jackson, the same ones that pimped our brother Prince, the same one that demanded that our brothers teach about killing our own people, drugging our own people with this music. It's the same people that's behind this. When I studied, in particular, Suki with the Good Coochie, I found out who her manager was. And her manager is a white man that's a part of the same community that attacked Nick Cannon.
Wow.
And then I looked at him, and then I looked at an interview with one of his counterparts, not the same man, but one of his counterparts that was on the Breakfast Club.
Any comments so far?
We already know the truth to the game and what's going on. I think that a lot more people are awakening to the fact of what's happening behind the scenes. But when they get a taste of what they think is the good life, they get deeper and deeper into wickedness. Okay. So Vicky may just now be finding out about it, but for me, I'm gonna speak for myself. I've been knowing, so it's nothing new to me.
Okay.
Shalom.
Okay.
This sexuality stuff made me think of the fallen angels when they came down and started sleeping with women, and how the Lord of hosts caused them to be so corrupt sexually. He turned it up where they were sleeping with whales, and I mean they were just out of control, and that's what I see.
Exactly. Right, perversion. That's how you track it, and that's the spirit that's out there right now. It's in the Israelite community everywhere, but it's being induced on us as Israelites. Yeah, and that's the reason I'm playing this, because and like I said, I used to think Denzel was a bum. Him and Samuel Jackson. And then when I started, Mosiah started showing me all this stuff. I don't even watch the movies no more, because it's abominable. Yeah.
I'm talking about when I was on the Breakfast Club, he spoke in a strange way, not not too long ago. I'm trying to think of his name.
Come on, Leo.
Thank you.
Leo Cohen, yeah.
Thank you. What did he say when he was asked the question about him pushing music, lean, and drugs on our people? Guess what he said? I gotta eat.
Yes.
Yo, he's not the face of hip hop, right? It was the same with the white Jewish guy that Suki with the good coochie's manager, and other stuff that I researched about Leo Cohen. I keep emphasizing the latest interview that he did because he did it with Breakfast Club, and you know they're pretty prominent when people listen to that. That was something telling when you hear him say it out of his own mouth.
Yes.
Then guess what? When you research Leo Cohen's who his daddy is, God today. Shout out to Dr. Wesley who put me onto this research and made me. He didn't do this personally to me. When I'm talking about people, I'm talking about the impact they have on me at a distance. You feel me?
Right.
Even though I had the honor of interviewing him a long time ago and been having his number. But when I started to research his stuff, it has so many other references. It forces me to really research. Leo Cohen's dad is an Israeli who had this deal with the military, and their goal was to have a disproportionate impact on Black folk. Leo Cohen was not a military man, so he strategically decided to undo us and to attack us through music. The whole thing with receipts on that. One of these Israeli officials, this is aside from his dad's connections there, said that their number one enemy was the Black youth in America.
Wow.
U.S. police, you all probably know this already, have been trained by former Mossad officials that have come to the U.S. to train, local police, and some were sent to get training over there. So for Leo Cohen to say, I'm going to do military using hip hop, y'all ain't hearing me? Tells me everything I need to know. So when we talk about how hip hop has been weaponized, music has been weaponized, our own men have been weaponized, our own women have been weaponized, our own body parts have been weaponized. Wow. And look at who white people elevate. Do you feel me?
Yeah.
CNN people, MSNBC people, The View people, they block me. Kamala Harris's people block me. But they interview Cardi B.
Yeah. We talked about that with Dr. Boy.
Come on now, Diane, Representative Maxine Waters bragged about how special Meg the Stallion is. I'm not saying these women are amazing in their own ways. I'm saying it's bigger than them. I'm saying that they're being pimped, is what I'm trying to say. And they've been strategically placed to have an outsized and disproportionate effect on our society. I think that that's the bigger issue. And when I see Black men standing up, when I see Black men calling these kinds of things out, I think that begins to make a difference. And while I'm seeing a lot of toxicity among our sisters, I'm the one that created the phrase LOM, L-O-M, legal commandments. I give the women the everlasting word. However, based on the universal principles, when our men get it together, they vibrate differently, and they will automatically cause a shift in the woman when we can get our brothers together. So I really do believe that in this time of war, when our men become who they are, and when they don't become the friendly giants.
Okay, any comments? Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting because, like I said, it's witchcraft, really. What it is, witchcraft. Maybe it goes back to when the angels came down, Genesis chapter 6. So they've been doing that ever since. They imposing this stuff on us and on the population. And it's unbeknownst to us how the process of how they're doing it, but they're doing it, and we've been brainwashed. And so many people is ignorant to the fact of that. So any comments on that before we go to the lesson? Anybody get anything out of that?
I think wickedness is being turned up right now. I mean, it seems like to me that it's becoming more popular and the women are getting worse at it. It's like if you're not doing it, they feel as though you're the one out of place. You know, they looking at you sideways.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And they're using money to do it.
Right. Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
lust for money. And just
Right.
leaving. Yeah. And they're just leaving everybody right off the cliff. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So with that being said, I was gonna go into the lesson. I'm dealing with Judas out of the Apocrypha. Like I kind of talked about Judas before, but I'm gonna go in a little more with it tonight. Anybody familiar with Judas? They know who Judas are? Judas is? Okay. So anyway, do a little cross-referencing with some stuff when I started reading it. It's I'll just kind of give you a story what's going on. It's during the time of right before right before Nebuchadnezzar became as powerful as he was. He was in Assyria. Uh, he was in Chaldea, was a little small region opposite of Assyria, and Assyria was a superpower at the time, you know, and so Nebuchadnezzar was getting ready to fight against him. The Chaldeans getting ready to fight against the Assyrians, and Nebuchadnezzar was nobody. So he started sending out letters to all the surrounding people and nations to come and help him fight, and nobody responded. But what they didn't know, just like with Cyrus, the Lord had Nebuchadnezzar in prophecy, and those 7 angels went to help Nebuchadnezzar when he went to battle, and he annihilated the Assyrian army because he had those 7 angels with him. And anyway, so then he became powerful, and so he sent letters. He sent his Lord of Hosts at the time. This guy Harphan. He hadn't got Nebuchadnezzar yet, and he sent them out, told them to go and destroy all the nations that didn't respond to his letter that he had sent out. So everybody was just folding up when they saw him coming. They would just give up, open their gates up, and give up their sovereignty to him. But he got to Judah, to the land of Judah, and he saw that Judah was setting up for war. And so he was like, they didn't know who the Judeans was. And so they was like asking people, who these people are, why they so bold, why they setting up battle ramps and all that to fight against me when they know what we capable of doing. And so that's where the story picks up at when they had Judah under siege. They had surrounded, and so starving them out, trying to starve them out. And that's when Judas come on the scene. That's why I'm gonna pick it up at. So it says they had a big council. This is during the time of King Uzzah. So it says, then Judah said to them, they have a council, all these men, listen to me, and I will do something that will go down to the sons of our nation for endless generations. You must stand at the gate tonight, and I will go out with my maid. And if you want to know how Israelite woman conduct herself, you can get some of it right here. It says, I will go out with my maid, and before the days are over, after which you said you will surrender the town to our enemies, the Lord will deliver Israel by my hand. But you must not inquire about my act, for I will not tell you what I am going to do until it is done. In Uzzah, right here, to that. That's in Isaiah chapter 1, verse 1. Uzzah says, then Uzzah said, and the ruler said to her, farewell, for the Lord God go before you to take vengeance upon our enemies. And they returned from the tent and went to their posts. But Judah fell upon her face and put ashes on her head, and she stripped off the sackcloth that she had put on, just as the incense offerings of the evening was being offered in Jerusalem in the house of God. Judah cried aloud and said, Lord God of my father Simon, in whose hand you put a sword to take vengeance on the aliens who had loosened a maiden's headdress to defile her, and strip her thigh to shame her, and profane her womb to disgrace her. For you said it must not be done, yet they did it. So you gave up their rulers to be killed, and their babe, which was ashamed of the deceit, and their babe, which was ashamed of the deceit they had practiced, to be stained with blood, and you struck down the slaves upon princes, and princes upon their thrones, and you gave up their wives to plunder, and their daughters to captivity, and all their spoils to be divided among your beloved sons, who were very zealous for you, and abhorred the population of the pollution of the blood, and called on you for help. O God, my God, listen to a widow like me, for you made what preceded those things, and what that follow them, and you design the presence and the future, and what you meditate comes to pass. The things you plan present themselves and say, here we are, for all your ways stand ready, and you judge with foreknowledge. For here the Assyrians are multiplied in their might. They are exalted over horses and riders. They glory in the arm of the foot soldier. They place their hope in shields and spears and bows and slings, and do not know that you are a Lord that crushes wars. Lord is your name. Break their strength with your might, and shatter their force in your anger. For they plan to profane your sanctuary, to pollute the tent where your glory name rests, to strike down the horn of your altar with the sword. Look at their arrogance, direct your anger upon their heads. Put in the hands of a widow like me the strength to do what I have planned. With my deceitful lips, strike down the slaves, the rulers, and the rulers with the servants. Break down their slate with a woman's hand. For your strength is not in number, nor your might is strong, but you are the God of the lowly, the helper of the inferior, the champion of the weak, the protector of the neglected, the savior of the despairing. Yes, God of my fathers and God of the inheritance of Israel, Lord of the heavens and the earth, creator of the waters, king of all your creation, hear my prayer and make my deceitful words the womb, and strip of those who have planned such cruelty against your against your agreement and your consecrated house and Mount Zion and the house of your sons possess. Make your whole nation and every tribe to know and understand that you are God, the God of all power and might, and that the nation of Israel has no protector but you. It came to pass when she had ceased calling on God of Israel and had finished saying all these things, that she rose from her prostrate position and called her maid and went down into the house where she lived on the Sabbath and on her feast days. See that? She got two different houses. She got another house. She went down into the house where she lived on the Sabbath and on the feast days. And she took off the sackcloth which she had put on, and she took off her widow's mourning and washed her widow. And she took off her widow's mourning and washed herself with water and anointed herself with rich ornaments and braided her hair. Check this out. This is precept for Isaiah chapter 4 with the daughters of Zion. So it says, and braided her hair, put on her headdress. Look at this. And she dressed herself in a festival attire which she used to wear when her husband Manasseh was alive. Here you go. She took the sandals from her feet, put on her anklets. That's in Isaiah 4. bracelets, rings, earrings, and all her ornaments, and made herself very beautiful to attract the eyes of any man who might see her. Then she gave her maid the leather bottle of wine and a jar of oil, and she filled the bag with parched grain and figs and pure bread, and she packed all her dishes and carried them. So this part right here reminds me of Abigail when she loaded up all the figs and bread and all that to get to appease David. See, then they went out to the gate of the town of Bethala, and they found Uzzah, who's the king, standing at the gate. The Cambers and Charmers, the elders of the town, when they saw her and that her face was altered and her dress changed, they admired the beauty uh, very greatly, and they said to her, may the God of our forefathers win you favor and fulfill your design to the gratification of the sons of Israel and to the exaltation of Jerusalem. And she worshiped God and said to them, order them to open the gate of the town for me, and I will go out and carry out the things of which you talk with me. Then they ordered the young men to open the gate for her as she had said, and they did so. And Judah went out, and she and her maid with her. And the men of the town watched her until she was gone down the mountain and gone through the valley, and they could see her no more. And they went straight on to the valley, and in an outpost of the Assyrian met her, and they took her into custody and asked her, to what people do you belong? Check this out. Go to the transatlantic slave trade. To what people do you belong? And where do you come from? And where are you going? And she said, I am the daughter of the Hebrews, and I am escaping from their presence because they are going to be given to you to devour. I am going to the presence of Harphan, this Lord of hosts of the Syrian of Nebuchadnezzar, commander in chief of your army, to give him a true report, and I will show him a way by which he can go and become master of all the hilly country without losing from his men one living body or spirit. When the men heard her words and observed her face, they regarded it as a wonderfully beautiful, and they said to her, you have saved your life by hurrying to come down to the presence of our Lord. So now go to his tent, and some of us will escort you until they deliver you into the charge. But if you stand before him, have no fear in your heart, but report to him what you have said, and he will treat you well. So right here, this guy right here is the Lord of hosts, and everybody fearing him. And like I said, I've been over and over again, that's one of the definitions of the Lord of hosts. It's he who he feared, not Yahweh, is he who they fear. They fear Michael, Lord of hosts. They fear him. And that's what he demands of you. So if this dude right here can strike fear in somebody, imagine the fear that the Lord of hosts striking a person when they come in his presence. So let's say, and they ran together from the whole camp, for the news of her coming had spread among the tents, right? So the news of her coming had spread all over the place. We'll see why in a minute. And they came and gathered about her as she stood outside the tent of Harphan, waiting until they told him about her, and they wondered at her beauty. See, that's why they all coming all. They wondered at her beauty and admired the Israelite, judging by her, and they said to one another. So they crazy about the Israelites now, cause judging by what she looked. And I was telling you how that's what they were doing with the slave ship. They knew what was on the slave ship, the type of women that was on the slave ship, and they was all these Europeans over here and in Great Britain, everywhere they was taking them. They knew who was on what ship and all that, and they was greased all up and heading to wherever the port was where they was coming in at. But they want to show us on the slave movies these people that looking like they've been ran over by 18-wheeler, but that ain't how they looked. They looked just like the same way Sarah looked, same way Eve looked, and the same way Rebecca looked. And like this one right here. They say, and they ran together to the camp, for the news of her coming had spread among the tents, and they came and gathered about her. And she stood outside the tent of Harson, waiting until he had told him about her. And they wondered at her beauty and admired the Israelites, judging by her. And they said one to another, "Who can despise these people when they have such women among them?" See this? For it is not right to leave one man of them alive. See that? Now we see why the Israelite man so hated. And then go back to what the sister just said. They're using the Israelite women to dismantle us. It says, for if we let them go, they will be able to beguile the whole earth with these women. That's exactly what they're doing. Edomites using our women now to beguile the whole earth. It said, being those who reclined with Harpham and all his attendants came out and took her into the tent. And Harpham was resting on his bed under the canopy, which was woven of purple and gold and emeralds of precious stones. And they told him about her, and he came forward into her space before the tent with silver lamps preceding him. But when Judah came before him and his attendants, they all wondered at her beauty of her face. She fell on her face and made obeisance to him, and his slaves raised her up. Then Harpham said to her, "Take courage, lady. Do not be afraid in your heart, for I never heard anyone who has chosen to serve Nebuchadnezzar, king of the whole earth. And now, if your people that inhabit the hilly country had not slated me, I would not have raised my spear against them, but they have brought this upon themselves. Now tell me, why have you escaped from them and come to us? For you have come to save yourself. Take courage, for you shall live tonight and henceforth. No one will hurt you, but anybody will. It says, but everybody will treat you well, as they treat the slaves of my lord, King Nebuchadnezzar." And Judah said to him, "Accept the words of your slave, and let your maidservant speak before you, and I will declare nothing else, nothing false to my lord tonight. If you follow out the words of my maidservant, God will fully carry out the matter with you, and my Lord will not fall short of his design. For by the life of Nebuchadnezzar, king of the whole earth, and by the might of him who has sent you to correct every soul, not only to men serve him because of you, but also the wild animals and the cattle and the wild birds through your might shall live under the sway of Nebuchadnezzar and all his hosts. For we have heard of your wisdom and the cleverness of your mind, and the whole earth has been told that you are the only man in the whole kingdom who is competent and able in knowledge and wonderful in the arts of war. Now as to what Acre said to your council, we have heard his word, for the men of Bela saved him, and he told them all that he had said before you. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. I just want to shine light on that. But I want to right here. We've been dealing with the wisdom thing for a while too. So check this out. It says, "Accept the words of your slave." This is Judah talking. "Let your maidservant speak before you, and I will declare nothing false to my Lord tonight. If you follow out the words of my maidservant, of your maidservant, God, Yahweh, will fully carry out the matter with you, and my Lord will not fall short of his design. For by the life of Nebuchadnezzar, king of the whole earth, and by the might of him who has sent you to correct every soul, not only do men serve him because of you," talking to Harpham, the Lord of hosts, "but also the wild animals and the cattle, the wild beasts, through your might." Not Nebuchadnezzar, the Lord of hosts, "through your might shall live under the sway of Nebuchadnezzar and all his hosts." The same thing happened. Everything's living under Yahweh's sway, under Yahweh, but it's the sway of the Lord of hosts is doing it. "For we have heard your wisdom." We have heard of your wisdom. See that? It's the Lord of hosts. "And the cleverness of your mind, and the whole earth has been told that you are the only man in the whole kingdom who is competent and able in knowledge and wonderful in the arts of the world. Now, as for what Akon has said in your counsel, we have heard his words. For the men of Bethlehem saved him, and he told them all that he had said for you. So we see that the Lord of hosts is the one that possessing all the wisdom and knowledge, and he's the one that's competent enough to carry out what the Most High Lord of hosts had gave him to do the Most High bidding. So the Yahweh had to endow wisdom on him for him to carry out the role that he got as Lord of hosts. Unnatural wisdom. Okay. So with that being said, anybody got any comments? So that was the book of Judith. If you want to read that whole story and get a gist of what's really going on with that, you can. Any comments?
I'm trying to figure out why it was said something earlier about they want to destroy, I guess, the Israelite men because of the women.
Right. Yeah, that's the same thing happened with Abraham and Sarah when he went down to Amalek. They wanted to kill him to get the wife, and then later on, Isaac came down there. They wanted to kill Isaac to get the woman. They ain't nothing new.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking of it like they were saying that the men would use the women to do something. It was something you were saying about because surely they would use the women to do something.
Yeah. He was saying that they would control the whole earth because of the beauty of their women.
I don't understand how they thought. You know what I'm saying? Because if somebody else was more powerful than them, they could overpower the men anyway. So I don't know. That was just a bit confusing. They were saying that because of the beauty of the women, they could control the earth. I didn't.
But what he's saying was the beauty they can bring their women in and coerce the men, the men are the oppressors, and then overtake them.
Mm.
That's what he's saying. And like I said, we see that happening now, but it's Esau, our adversary, using our women to control the earth.
How so? Because I kind of see it differently. I
I
see
mean,
them using their women to, I don't know, how they using us to control the earth, in your
well,
opinion. I'm just trying to see.
well, first of all the inventions coming from us, and then we see now, starting in the '60s, they started promoting the woman and they denigrated the man, and now we got all these CEOs, women all over the place. We got all these singers and like Vicky was just saying, these rappers, these women, rapper women. It's like when you look at Rihanna, where she came from, now she a billionaire. That's a major influence. And
My,
you put Cardi B and all the rest of them with her, and the influence that they have.
yeah, I do think they're denigrating us with those. I mean, they're promoting those women in the effort to denigrate the black woman, but at the same time, the black woman had already been denigrated by the rappers. The men had already been you know, I just don't see that as the women. I think the men, the rap denigrated the women along. I was just watching something with Umar Johnson this today,
Right.
and he was talking kind of about this whole thing.
Right.
And I mean, I don't see the women being the I think it's they started with the men. That's why the women are the way they are to me. Because I think black women had a lot more respect because of the way we were treated by our men in the past more so than currently. So it's a product of the music and
Right.
then just the way, I think we were denigrated before Nicki Minaj. I think those songs created the bees and the hoes and all the stuff they call black women. the black men in the rap music, which they're promoting, which Esau is promoting and pushing those types of rappers to the forefront because that's the only ones that are getting deals right now. People that are creating that kind of garbage. So I think the women, of course, the rappers are doing the same thing, but they're thinking they're taking their they're having their own power because now they're saying we control our sexuality. They talk about us like, you know, B's and H's, but now they're doing it, they're using it wrongly, thinking it's giving them power when it's really still the same thing. It's just they're doing it, to themselves now. So I just think it was already done. It was already the damage was already done since the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s just got worse. Now it's just, you know, now the women are doing it, but I think they've been used the men, the black men, against us for before this even happened.
Well, right, it goes way back. It goes back to before they even got on the slave ship. But the thing about it is our adversary, and then you got to look at it. All Israel ain't Israel because, like I was saying about Denzel and Samuel Jackson. I mean, and even what she was talking about, the three women that she mentioned, you got to know, what they did in order to be in the position they in, the things they had to do, so they can't be Israelites. I mean, it's something diabolical going on.
Yeah.
So whether it's a man or a woman, they Esau is using them to denigrate Israel. Right.
It's like the Willie Lynch stuff, whether that's true or not, but it's that whole, they're using us against ourselves. So yeah.
Right. Exactly. And then, like I said, it's not like they don't know because of the things you got to do in order to get those perks. It ain't, it ain't like you got blindfolds on and you don't know that it's wicked what you're doing to get those benefits. You see whatever it is. I mean, see the accolades that you're getting from doing it. And it's crazy. Yeah.
Shalom.
Okay.
I see it as them denigrating us and causing our men not to want us and want their women.
Exactly.
And because they know a Hebrew Israelite woman and a Hebrew Israelite man together, that's a powerful combination.
Right. Exactly. Right. And it just gets stronger because that man and that woman gonna have children. Then you got a community, and then you got a nation. It just gets stronger and stronger when it starts with the house first. It goes out, but they using these diabolical Negroes to usurp that. That's where the drama coming in.
That's why you see a lot of our men marrying those wicked women. In Hollywood, you see a lot of black men that marry, white women.
Right. Yeah, and then it be undercover because of like I was watching a little thing on YouTube news where this guy, this black dude was married to this white this lady, and they just recently somebody burglarized the house and killed her. Anybody see that? I can't remember who the guy was, but all this time he's been married to a white woman. You never really know until something come up, and then they show it. Yeah. And they tell you all in the movies how those slave owners they threw their wives away. They were down in slave. They were down in slave quarters. They was totally wiped out by those Israelite women. They wiped them out. And they didn't want those European women after they seen those Israelite women and got control of them. And it's been going on ever since. Yeah.
You see what they asked Judah? To what people do you belong?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, and they did the same thing, you know. They did the same thing, Gior with Abraham and with Isaac, and even the Israelite man that had the woman that they raped and killed, and the guy had to cut her up in 12 different parts. Yeah, so this go all the way back, and but what's not people not understanding is they telling you how these women looked. They wasn't like all other women.
Not only that, the intelligence they possessed.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you seen how what she was talking about in her demeanor. Yeah, exactly. Abigail the same way. Esther, and
Just
then
like,
it's being downplayed. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just thinking about. I remember they were always talking about, all the features of of black women and how it's negative. They portray it so negatively when it's on us, the people that naturally have it, but then it's they changed the name, um and then it's an asset, it's the Brazilian butt lift, or it's the
Right,
French lip when they get injections, and then it's I forgot what the tone is, but it's like a certain hue of brown,
right,
um, that they say looks the healthiest, but they're talking about on Caucasian people.
right,
So they don't really want to look pasty like they do,
right,
but it's like it's reversed. We've been taught to admire that, that lightness, that
right,
lack of melanin, when
right,
they really appreciate it. Look, they say it looks healthier, full of lips, because some of them don't even have lips.
right,
But it's just the European standard, you know. I don't know if it's from pornography, when it kind of got, you know. I know that's usually where it starts. I was listening to one brother talking about, like a lot of black, you know, guys when they're young, the first, sexual, they used to be in magazines, but when they watch pornography or something when they're young, that first image is usually a Caucasian woman, and
right,
it's like systematically, because that's the standard of beauty for white men because they're white. So when black men see that, I don't know, they were just saying that. I'll have to send y'all. I'll send online the Dr. Umar's thing. He was just talking about um how sometimes um black men feel like they'll be for them to say that the black woman is not as good as a white woman. That's what he was fussing. He's always fussing about that. Is that because they don't feel as it's a direct reflection, even though they don't say it, that they don't feel as good as the white man a lot of times, because if they're saying that the black woman is not as good as the white woman, what they're essentially saying is their counterpart is better than them, and that's why they think if they, I can't explain it like he does, but I'll send it in our Zoom thing. But um, it's a lot to think about how we've been brainwashed.
right,
People don't understand the roots of it, and then we blame each other, but it's systematic.
right.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Subliminal, subliminal. Okay. Anybody else got anything? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I played there because that's like I said. We had when you look around and see everything that's happening, and then you seeing people that's not even responding to it, and it's this kind of stuff right here. The reason why we so disconnected and can't zero in on what's really going on because of stuff like this. Like I said, I threw uh, those actors and movie stars away. Once I found out what was really going on, I threw them away. You know, because you know it's not like they doing it with their eyes closed. They willingly doing all this stuff. This diabolical stuff, and then they come before us as if they so you know they really did put in work and hard work to do what they did. And you know you did all kind of debauchery, you know, to be in the limelight, do what you're doing. Yeah. So anybody else got anything else before we go? Okay, yeah. So that the lady I played about this little last video, Vicky Dillard, she just did a like a webinar, but supposedly she said she didn't record it. And I've been trying to find it. Maybe one of y'all can find it. It's got to do with let me play this. It's about 45 seconds. Okay.
The sister with the curly braids, Vicky Dillard, giving you the opportunity of a lifetime to catch the replay of my ancestral DNA messenger code. It was amazing. People throughout the United States, 7 countries attended for a reason. The miracle signs and wonders have already begun to come in. Beloved, you want to know the secret that's in your royal bloodline, and I activate you. I had a supernatural encounter with the messenger. I want to share the information that I received. Go now to onpurposewithvicky.com. I'm only making it available for a few more days because I'm getting ready to work on another amazing surprise that you don't want to miss. Also on my charged ancestral royal bloodline keys. You want to hurry and get those because I made that spiritual product as an assistant to unlock your growth.
Yeah. So if somebody can might want to try to find it if they can, and if you find something, post it on my message. But I can't find it. It's it's part 1 and 2. I'm trying to figure out what it is about this blood she's talking about.
Right, but you see, she has on there purchase. So right now, it's probably pretty much on the low because she's trying to make money. So to really get to, see it and find out about it, you're gonna have to purchase it for right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Okay.
You may find bits and pieces, but
Right. Okay. Yeah. So anybody else got anything before we go? Everybody good?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I had a ball again. So I'll see everybody tomorrow at 8 o'clock for the Friday night Q&A. Shalom.